Hello everybody, thanks for tuning in. I wanted to share my thoughts on George Floyd and the ensuing chaos that has surrounded his death. His death is obviously a tragedy, I think that needs saying, but I'm not sure it's any more of a tragedy than the death of Tony Timper, who was killed in almost identical circumstances a few years previously, but just happened to be white, so no one cared about it. We're constantly being told that there's a problem with racism in the West and racism with the police force, but the evidence doesn't back that up at all. I've got the very basic statistics here from the US. Black officers are more than 3 times more likely than white officers to shoot black suspects. The police in general are 24% less likely to shoot blacks than whites. 12% of white and Hispanic homicide victims die at the hands of the police, whereas the comparative figure for blacks is just 4%. Police are in fact almost 19 times more likely to be killed by a black assailant than the other way round. And perhaps the most astonishing figure is that 93% of blacks in America are killed by blacks. So the police brutality line is a myth. We don't have a police brutality or a race problem in the West. What we have is a narrative problem, which says that everything white is oppressive and everything non-white is a victim of that oppression. Let's have a couple of examples here. It sounds like nonsense that a white person would say. The media love to release articles on a daily basis attacking whites. The Guardian: we tend to empathize with our online avatars, so let's get rid of white emojis. New York Times: can my children be friends with white people? Huffington Post: I chose not to have children because they'd be white. Yesterday's Independent: what the white supremacist roots of biological sex reveal about transphobic feminism. That's ticking an awful lot of boxes. Politicians: any politician who's a few bit short on votes, and in the UK that's the Lib Dems, they just come out and call everyone male, pale and stale. Vince Cable at his last rally as leader accused the audience of being too white. Universities love to hold race awareness courses, compulsory race awareness courses for their white intake. Not just the little guys. There's Magdalen College, Oxford. That's kind of a big university some people might have heard of. Has a race awareness course where they examine the pyramid of white supremacy, which is everything from breathing to being a paid-up member of the Ku Klux Klan is one and the same. You're racist. Corporations that don't really want to hire white people anymore. You know, little guys like the BBC and the police do everything they can to hire only minorities. Everything white is, of course, too white. Gun control, that's too white. Classical music, cycling, mathematics, schools. You might be getting 100% on your Ofsted report, but if you've got too many white kids, you're going down. The Oscars are too white, so are campuses and television and catwalks, milk, Jesus Christ, that's white, sandwiches, even the sun, that's racist. But it doesn't matter, because everything white is racist anyway. Why is this happening? Well, the simple reason is that black victimhood is a good seller. It's a good seller for politicians who every 4 years court the black vote and tell them they're being oppressed and tell them they ain't black enough if they dare vote the wrong way. White celebrities love crying on screen for a couple of minutes to get a few woke points and stay relevant. Companies love to preach that they follow the Black Lives Matter when really they're just using them to sell their stuff. The real story here is not oppression or brutality or even the death of one man. The real story here is that the left have finally found the Holy Grail. They found the ultimate victim status they've been searching for years. I thought it was going to be Islam for a long time. LGBT, that was doing pretty well. Trans came along, transphobia, that's a big seller, and they're currently lynching J.K. Rowling for that. The NHS, that's a big one. You're not out on your doorstep at 6 o'clock clapping for them. Your neighbour's not going to be happy. This one trumps them all. The death of a career criminal 4,000 miles away that no one's ever heard of has brought the West to its knees. That is what these protests are really about. Got nothing to do with the death of this person. These people don't care about the death of George Floyd. This is a union of Trump haters and Brexit haters and Boris bashers and Tory haters and Corbyn supporters and every anti-American, anti-British malcontent that just wants to go around, smash the place up, tear down the statues, bash the police, and hide behind the perfect protection of the fact that they are doing so on moral grounds, with the obligatory free pair of trainers and flat screen TV thrown into the bargain, because why not? If you doubt the power of this thing, you've not been paying attention. There has been almost universal capitulation across the West. The only major leader I know that's not doing this is Trump. Whatever you say about him, the man's got a backbone. The House of Commons held a minute's silence for this guy, a criminal, a serious criminal. The police in the UK are currently selectively policing. So if you're a white guy walking your dog in the Cotswolds, you're going to be in trouble. But if you want to smash the place up, it's all right, because tactically they don't want to get involved. Every liberal charlatan is of course on their knees. No change there. And we've got comedians running around apologising for something they did 20 years ago, whereas you'd think they'd just be apologising for not being very funny in the first place. This is a big deal, because if you dissent from this, you are going to be erased, and it's already happening. CrossFit CEO, never heard of this guy, but it's called apparently Greg Glassman. Don't even know what CrossFit is, but it's a big company. He merely dared to question, why should I mourn for this guy? That's a reasonable question. This guy's a criminal. He's gone. He's probably a rich guy, probably doesn't care, but he will never be a big player again. UCLA professor Gordon Klein, and he can't be a rich guy because he's lecturing. He's been suspended for refusing to give lenient markings to black students who might be triggered by this event. Suspended, just because he wants to actually award marks for work that's given. The statues of Churchill and Lincoln have been targeted. Churchill, that's possibly the most important Briton of all time, single-handedly held off the Nazis, got America involved, but he's a racist. Don't worry about Hitler, but Churchill, he's pretty bad. Lincoln, that guy, heard of him, did something to help slaves a little bit. No, they've been defaced. They're probably going to be taken down. Watch this space. The point is, there is no point. There's nothing you can do. If you're white, you are automatically racist. Racist is just simply a poor euphemism now for white. If you move into a black area, you're gentrifying the place. If you move out, that's white flight. That's racist, whatever you do. If you take part in other cultures, you're appropriating. If you don't take part, you're non-inclusive. If you see colour, obviously that's racist. If you don't see colour, that's the worst kind of racism. Let's have another couple of headlines here. Washington Post, why not being racist isn't enough. The Guardian again, that's my favourite, first thing in the morning. Why I'm no longer talking to white people about race. Magazine, you don't have to be racist to be racist. So there you go. The race card is genius. You've got to give it to them. It requires no responsibility to wield it, and no amount of evidence can defend against it. That's the point. They don't want to hear your arguments, and they certainly don't want to provide any of their own. And now is the time they're on the move. The left have smelt blood. They know their moment is at hand. So if you want to put up a bit of resistance against this, it's time to stop playing their game. You're going to have to stop defending against impossible accusations. You're going to have to make them argue a case. So whatever they throw at you, when they call you a racist, which is what they're going to do, you're going to have to just ignore it and tell them, where's your argument? So my message to the West generally, and certainly all politicians and the police chiefs and people generally, is get off your knees. If you're in a position of authority, you need to do your job. If you're the police, you need to enforce the law without fear or favour. It's no good turning a blind eye to stuff simply because they've got the right badge. It's time to get off your knees. Thanks for listening, and see you next time.